Hi TackleDirect friends, Patrick Sebile here. This time I want to share with you another of my soft plastic baits range, and the name of this guy is the Sandyll. Well, the Sandyll, mimics a slender bait fish. Obviously sandills, but needlefish. I mean, there are several bait fish out there that are slender. So what are the benefits of having a slender bait? Well, we can say one benefit is to mimic a slender bait fish. Well, that's true. But in fact, to my personal point of view, there are two benefits that are more important. I think there's only a limited number of cases where the fish focus so much on one shape that they don't want another shape. It does happen, definitely, but not so much frequently. What are the two benefits then I personally see into a slender bait fish? First one, the distance. Well, if you need to make a long cast, say you're fishing in a canal, you're fishing from a pier and the fish are far away, well, a slender bait is more likely able to travel through the air much better to reach those fish. Second thing, which is basically linked to the same principle, is lowering not only the air resistance but the water resistance. So lowering the air resistance is why this guy can travel a bit much on a further distance than a more compact soft plastic of the same weight. But then if you want to fish deeper or reach faster the desired swimming depth, well, that's where also a slender bait allows you to dive faster for the same weight. Meaning, if you have the same weight on a jig head, on a bait that's more bulky, it will take longer for the bait to go through the water column to reach the bottom or the desired depth. So a slender bait will reach that much faster. So that's why I really like to have a slender bait fish. So this guy is made also of soft tough, which is the case of all the baits within that Hyperlastic brand. So let's go a bit more in detail. So long lasting is the key with that material. It holds better, it's more resistant to fish teeth such as bluefish than the regular soft plastic. Now, hear me well, I'm saying it's more resistant, okay? It is not indestructible. When people say that, they don't use the proper word. It is destructible and it will be cut by a bluefish at some point anyway. Just it will last longer than a regular soft plastic. It have more kicking motion. That matters. That really matters. Sometimes you may want a bait that have very little resistance, make almost no swim action. Actually, you just can take this guy and cut the tail. I'm not kidding. Sometimes you may have a better result with a bait that will just gently travel through the water with very little movement and action. Cut the tail, job is done, and you do that. Maybe a bluefish cut the tail for you. That's why when the tail is cut, don't think, oh, I have to throw it away. You still can use it actually. Now, when the tail is on, which obviously, well, it's the case when you open the bag at least, well, that soft tough material has so much kicking into it that when you retrieve, literally it will move all the bait and give more or develop more vibration that will travel through the water, and that's what the predator fish are feeling with their lateral line. That's why it's extremely efficient. Now, there's a few more into that bait. First is the hook. This is the hook I designed when I was 16. This shape I have an inverse bend to it. That means a regular J hook will have the deepest point nearby the point right here. So when you hook a fish, first the lip of the fish will be very close from the point. So when the fish jump, shake the head like a snook, for example, a tarpon, a number of fish that don't have a very meaty mouth, well, you're more likely to lose them with a regular J hook. Here, in fact, the pulling point will be here, deeper into and closer to the hook shank. So you have twice the distance from a regular J hook, and that's a big reason why you keep fish better. By the way, that same hook used on freshwater bass works as well as it does on snook and tarpon. So that's a big deal. You land more fish. Also, the pull point being so low, you have less leverage to open the hook, which means if you hook the fish of your life, like a 47-pound striped bass that you are not expected, obviously, well, you are more chance that you will hold all the fight and land your fish without the risk of having a hook opening, which is more likely to be the case on a regular J hook. So actually this shape compared to the same shape made with the same wire, same diameter. My shape here, it's about 20 to 25% stronger when it comes to pull point and to resist to the opening. So it's a big deal. I designed that when I was 16 years old and bring that to market when I was 18. So there's many years behind me, a lot of experience, a lot of fish, where I can say in all experience in the world, that does keep the fish better. Now, another thing you notice is that deep cut on the back. It's no gimmick. That deep cut allows you for two main things. First of all, regular soft plastics, especially a slender one like this, when you rig them, when you put them on a hook, in fact the opening you have to hook the fish mouth is only that, because the hook shank is buried into the plastic. In that case, as you can tell, the hook and the bait to that level are independent. So when you have a bite, you really can have 100% of the hook gap hooking the fish lip. And that's why also you will have a better anchorage into the fish mouth. The second thing is that once you set the hook and the hooks start to fight, first thing they do, they spit water out because they don't understand what just happened, right? They were thinking to have a nice meal, an easy prey, and suddenly something is pulling on their mouth, so they spit it out. So you have less risk to have a leverage that may help the fish to spit out the bait, but also if you have a toothy critter, such as a bluefish, well, now the bait's gonna be out there and it's gonna chew on the hook shank, giving much extended life to your bait thanks to that. A last thing about the technical things I want to talk about is the patent I have here. As you can see, we have keepers that are on the hook, but we have holes that correspond to that. So a number of other bait, you know, when you rig them, you're not always sure you position them very properly. Well, here it's very easy. Just follow the hole. You don't actually hook the plastic itself. And when you're here, you push a bit, you pull 1, 2 times, and here it is. You can see the keepers are in their position in the hole and the bait holds very well. So ready to go. So that's the way you're able to cast and retrieve or jig this lure, but that's not it. If you want to fish more finesse, say in shallower water, in the shallower beach, for example, you just can take one of the tails and rig it on a jig head. You have plenty action, and now you can fish much shallower. You know, if you fish 2, 3, 4, 5 feet on the beach, that might be a much better option for you. At the very opposite, if you want to fish much deeper, heavy bucktail, especially the bouncing bucktail from oceanborn, perfectly fits with this guy. We find the same hook as we've seen on the Sandyll head. We have also all the added benefit that this guy, for example, the bouncing jig head glides in the water. When you jig it, for example, it can go as far as 8 feet sideways. So a lot of action. When it lands on the bottom, always stay like that. So if you fish shallow, deeper water, that's very important, especially if you have snag. It also deflects better against rocks. And you have another model, the swimming bucktail, which have wider wings, which is more for pure cast and retrieve, where also the tail of the Sandyll fits perfectly. So that's a great bait for those of you guys who are looking for good fish in saltwater.